Today, we are going to be going over some of the best sports cars in GTA Online for racing, starting off with the COMET S2 CABRIO costing a total of $1.79 million with a 129-mile-per-hour top speed. It's rear-wheel drive, and to max it out, it'll cost you $392,600. It doesn't look like it has a ton of customizations, but honestly, that doesn't really matter too much because you can make this car look really cool, and like I said, this video is tailored to people that want to race with sports cars, and this car is actually amazing for racing. Plus, if you guys mess around with the liveries a little bit, try to find the right colorways, you can honestly make this thing look pretty damn sick. As usual, I do apologize if you hear any squeaky toys in the background. Just got my dog some new toys from the pet store, so they're having a blast. But this car is honestly pretty amazing. When it first came out, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but now I'm actually starting to love it. And as I was driving it around for this video, it handles really well, and one added bonus is it's actually a bit faster than the regular COMET S2, which is obviously a bit of a benefit there. So it's a really great car, and it falls at number 10 on this list. Next up, we have the beautiful VYSSER Neo. Sadly, I wasn't able to upgrade it for the video because it got kind of glitched out, but it's a pretty nice car, costing $1.87 million with a 125-mile-per-hour top speed. It's all-wheel drive, and it'll cost you $401,000 to completely max out. Now, one thing you got to remember about top speeds with vehicles that have combustion engines, those top speeds can be changed very easily. Like it says 125 miles per hour, but if you're going downhill or you're on a road with a tiny bit of bumps, that top speed will be much higher. While I was driving, I had my speedometer open and this car was easily going over 130 miles per hour. So when it comes down to top speed, it all depends on how you drive and take advantage of the environment around you. This car is great though, being all-wheel drive. It's really easy to handle, and if you do decide to upgrade it, it does look pretty damn beautiful, falling at number 9 on this list. Next is one of my favorite sports cars, the beautiful ITALI GTO. If you guys wanted to buy it, you could purchase it for $1.9 million. It has a 127-mile-per-hour top speed. It is also all-wheel drive, and if you wanted to max it out, it'll cost you $392,000. One of the best things about this car is it's practically the exact same as the ITALI RSX, but a tiny bit worse in some areas. But when it comes to handling, I truly believe this is one of the best sports cars you could use. Plus, it looks absolutely phenomenal. Every vinyl that Rockstar made for this car looks beautiful, and if you match up the RGBs correctly like I did here, you can make this car look phenomenal. By the way, comment down below if you want to see a video of me making some really cool custom liveries in GTA 5, because you can honestly make some amazing ones, and I tend to do it a lot in videos, so if you want to see some of the best ones, let me know down below. But as you guys already know, the ITALI GTO is amazing, but it does end up falling at number 8 on this list because there are some other amazing vehicles in GTA Online. Next up, another one of my favorite sports cars, the SCHLAGEN GT, which you could purchase for $1.3 million with a 125-mile-per-hour top speed. It's a rear-wheel drive vehicle, and it'll cost you $396,000 to max out. Now, just because this vehicle is rear-wheel drive doesn't mean that it handles like shit. Surprisingly, even though it has all of this power packed under that hood, it handles really well being a rear-wheel drive vehicle. When you do end up fishtailing, it's not that hard to actually gain control back of this vehicle. And even when you are fishtailing, it kind of just feels like you're in full control drifting around, even if you're a really shitty drifter. This car is truly amazing, and everybody that's driven it, I guarantee you agree with me. It's an amazing car, and Rockstar configured it perfectly in GTA Online, and it falls at number 7 on this list. Next up, we have the Overflood Morgan, which will cost you about $2.16 million. It has a top speed of 107 miles per hour. It's all-wheel drive, and if you max it out, it'll cost you about $354,000 to do so. Now, even though this car's top speed is only 107 miles per hour, as I've said in the past, that speed doesn't matter. Even though this is an electric car and it does technically have a set top speed in game, when I was driving it around though, this shit was flying at almost 120 miles per hour. And now, even though that's not the fastest top speed in the game, this thing accelerates like crazy being an electric vehicle. Even though it feels more like a hybrid, this thing is incredible. The only thing I don't like about it is I think it's one of the ugliest cars I've ever seen, and that's just my opinion. I hate the look of it, which is probably one of the main reasons why I don't use it so much. But when it comes down to racing, the Morgan is a force to be reckoned with. This thing is insane. Its handling is phenomenal, and when you go around turns, that acceleration is going to play a huge part. Even though it doesn't have the highest top speed, you gotta remember, it doesn't always matter about how fast the car is, it's about who's driving it. And if you can handle this thing really well, of course, since it is also all-wheel drive, you're going to be a force to be reckoned with as well on the track. Next up, we have the Omnis EGT, which you could purchase for $1.79 million. It has a 111 mile per hour top speed. It is also all-wheel drive, and if you wanted to max it out, it'll cost you $956,000, which sounds like a ton of money, because it is. But don't forget, this car also has a remote control unit available for it, and a homing missile jammer, which is a huge benefit driving around on the streets. But in my opinion, the best thing about this car is the fact that it is electric, and compared to some of the other electric vehicles I've used in the game, there's a couple benefits to owning this over them. Number one, I feel like it just drives better than most of them. Comparing it to the Cyclone 2 and the Cyclone, I enjoy driving this more. I feel like I'm much more in control. Also, it comes with way more modifications than many other electric vehicles do. Like, for example, the Chameleon, one of the first sporty racing electric cars we had in GTA Online, has like nothing that you could do to it. Of course, there are a couple other electric vehicles that have some mods, but nothing compared to the Omnis EGT. This thing will fly down the road, and since it is electric, the acceleration is phenomenal, the handling is on point, this thing is an electric beast. Next up is the Jugular, one of my favorite cars in the game. You could purchase it for $1.2 million, or if you unlock the trade price, you can get it for about $918,000. It has a 126 mile per hour top speed, it is all-wheel drive, and if you wanted to max it out, it'll cost you $368,000. I think this vehicle is the #1 vehicle that I recommend to buy. I always recommend it because it's amazing. I remember the day I realized how phenomenal this thing was. I was doing a stunt race. I got screwed over at the start, but then later in the race we had to go off-road for about 2 or so miles. I then passed by everybody else and finished the race in first with about a 20-second lead against everybody. And I believe it was almost a full lobby as well. And, you know, they weren't bad racers, it's just their cars weren't meant to off-road. But this thing has an insane top speed, it's all-wheel drive and handles like a god, and if you take it off-roading in a race, you're not going to have any issues. Or you might if you suck at racing, but this will definitely help you out compared to using some other car that wasn't configured for those types of scenarios. The Jugular is amazing. Really quickly, before we get into our top 3 cars for the video, you guys probably noticed I have these awesome wheels on my car. And I also have them in a lot of other videos. It's because I downloaded this really cool rim pack mod, which you can't access, of course, in GTA Online, but you can access it in one of the best RP servers, Grand RP, and they are this video's sponsor. Have you ever wanted to play GTA 5 as a police officer, or as a doctor, or as a gang member, or drive hundreds of different real cars? If so, check out Grand RP, one of the best roleplay servers in the world. If you click the link down below in the description, when you join, you get $25,000 in-game completely free. It's time for the top 3 now, starting off with the COMET SR. You could purchase it for $1.1 million. It has a 122 mile per hour top speed, it's rear-wheel drive, and it'll cost you a total of about $327,000 to max it out. The one thing I don't like about it is the fact that it doesn't have too many customizations. And it also doesn't have any liveries either, which I think really sucks. But when it comes to racing, this thing is amazing. It's so small, it's really compact, and it has really tight turning as well. It's not hard to control this vehicle, and as an added bonus, it's really cheap. So if you're looking for a cheaper car that you can race really well with and isn't too hard to control, the COMET SR is definitely the vehicle for you. Obviously, there are a bunch of brand new Porsches in GTA Online, and this one is fairly old. But honestly, it doesn't matter that much if all you want to do is race. You're getting a great car at a great price. In second place, we have the brand new CORSITA. This is a beautiful car, and you can purchase it for about $1.79 million. It has a 131 mile per hour top speed, it's rear-wheel drive, and it'll cost you about $401,000 to max out. If I had to compare this car to another vehicle in GTA Online, I would say it is pretty much the sports car version of the Krieger, one of the best supercars in the game. And as you can see by the customizations, this thing is beautiful. I also made a custom livery, I guess, for this. I popped a pure black finish onto it, and it removed all the black from the livery, and we just got that red popping out. I think it looks amazing. But when it comes to racing, as I said, it's literally the Krieger, but as a sports car. And honestly, I think it's a bit unfair. This thing is so damn fast. 131 miles per hour is crazy for a sports car. So if you're looking for a great car that isn't too expensive, this might be one of your best options. And finally, the number one sports car to race with, in my opinion, is the ITALI RSX. You could purchase it for $3.4 million, or if you unlock the trade price, you can get it for $2.5 million. It has a 135 mile per hour top speed, it's all-wheel drive, and it'll cost you right around $400,000 to max this beautiful vehicle out. I was shocked when Rockstar released it as a sports car, because this thing can beat out 90% of the supercars in GTA Online, which is just crazy. But like I said earlier, it's very similar to the ITALI GTO, but I feel like the GTO is pretty much the easier vehicle to drive. The RSX does have great handling as well, and a higher top speed, but it's a bit more complicated to drive. If you can control this vehicle properly, you will do so well with it. Comparing it to something like the COMET D10, where it's super fast but handles like shit no matter what, this car handles well if you know how to race. So if you're just starting out and getting into racing and you want to purchase an amazing vehicle, the GTO is your best bet. But if you want to purchase an incredible vehicle, once you learn the ropes, I guess, to racing and controlling your cars, the RSX will dominate in practically any race you go into. It's truly an amazing vehicle. Anyways, guys, those are the top 10 sports cars in GTA 5 Online. Let me know what you guys thought of the video. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What other cars do you think could have been added to this list if, let's say, it was the top 15 best sports cars? And if you do want to see a video on the top 10 supercars in GTA Online, let me know by dropping a like on the video. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and with that said, I will catch you guys in the next one.